in his hands, I think it is actually a pretty good way to have a secondary means of engage rather than putting all the weight on Akai and then starting to peel for Toy on this Moskov.
I think they got to ban the Lapu here. Personally, I think Farza, it's the one thing that can maybe catch the Farza off guard.
Yeah.
Badong also, it could be a problem as well. Either one. They're going to go for the Matilda instead, though, which with the utility jungle, I get it.
Yeah, interesting. That would have been an overload on utility for the side of RRQ, but that would have messed up the rotational speed for SRG. I think they're putting a lot of focus onto the Sakai and what they can do to disrupt the flow of the rotations for the side of Selangor Red Giants. Or for RRQ, yeah, I don't think they need to worry about EXP lane picks, because a lot of the EXP lane picks that you can pick up for SRG right now are looking at that Akai and going, oh, this is going to be a tough game for me.
I think no matter what, SRG is going to have a winning EXP matchup, and that's the most important thing for them on that red side, right? The Lancelot ban finally goes through. RQ have a couple of options right now, and the issue is that they won't have access to sandbags. No matter what sandbag they have, there is a very clear response from SRG side.
So what does SRG take here? Do they save the XP for the possible counterplay, or do they pick something up front? Again, Lapu could be a pick to make sure that they're not getting picked against them. They could just go into something. Lance is already gone. Hayabusa for jungle, maybe just lock in jungle first.
Yeah, might be tough. Although that could be a really good option. They go for the Lapu. Okay, they rush the Lapu right away. I think. Yeah, at this point, RRQ goes for the Badang on Dyrant.
They go for Badang on the Dyrant most likely. Because they're also worried about a potential Hilda from the side of Dyrant too. I think that SRG are thinking whether util or assassins, right? I think Hayabusa is not bad, but they want to see the full lineup from RRQ side because they're forcing him into the Hayabusa.
RQ though also kind of lacking in burst damage overall. What do they lock in here? Esmeralda and Cho. So Cho for Rome, Esmeralda EXP. Still kind of lacking in damage. It is all shred on the side of RQ. We're talking, I mean, yes, you have the pickoff potential to make up for that, but definitely for me, a little dangerous.
God damn it, Kescute's too smart. He's both locked out the options for Fredrin as well Hayabusa. No matter what, these neutral objectives are going to be so hard to take. We've seen the classic matchup of Fredrin into Akai, you get pushed into a wall. What's worse, you go into Hayabusa, you're going to get kicked by the Cho.
Yeah, it seems like with everything RQ brought to the table, whatever Sakai ends up with, he's going to have difficulty. If Sakai has an easy game, that's an MVP game for him. At this point, it's pick your poison for SRG. Will it be the Hayabusa as your jungle?
What was that?
That was X-Borg.
Yeah, baby!
This is interesting because now tempo can be wrestled with.
Yeah.
With the export, you can kind of poke out your opponents. Any full commitment to break the Faraga armor is going to initiate all the ults from SRG.
And the fact that there's no big burst damage from RQ means it's going to be very hard to get that Faraga armor down. Normally it's the Farza. It's heroes like that you want to use against the X-Borg, and all of that is on the side of SRG right now.
How do you break down a front-to-back formation? You don't break it. You burn it down. Let's see if this X-Borg pick will help SRG take this game number 3, or will RRQ take it? Bring it up, Naisu. You guys take it.
Take it away, we shall. Thank you so much to the panel for breaking down Game 3's draft. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's me, Naisu, joined with Brigida to bring you this third game in this best of 5 to move on forward to the semis. Will it be RRQ to get the upper hand sitting at match point if they get it, or will it be SRG? We've seen two very different games, Brigida, from Game 1 to Game 2 now, and it's been all about the XP laners. What do we think about this one?
Well, I mean, the matchup in terms of the Esmeralda versus the Lapu is kind of given. You just have to manage it a little bit more to get even in terms of that matchup. But I feel like my eyes are glued to this last pick X-Borg that was brought out by SRG OG, because like this literally changes everything. It resembles that idea we saw earlier where there are just so many stoners, there's so many playmakers, but it's not just that. The amount of burst damage from RRQ might not be that sufficient to constantly be able to deal with the Firaga armor, especially if Sekai's is being protected really well by, let's say, the Predator Airstrike, by, let's say, just even Yooms on the Kalea. So if RRQ doesn't find a way to play around this lineup of SRG, it's gonna be looking pretty good for the Red Giants.
Yeah, and looking at the emblems too, this is what we kind of expect here. You got a couple Impure Rages, of course, for the Suitsujin on the Akai, and then over on the Esmeralda for Dyron. The difference for the XP laner, I would say, for RRQ in this sense is how does Dyron utilize the Esmeralda? So far, throughout MSC, we've seen it struggle a bit, for the most part. But of course, you want to go ahead and utilize the fact that you can also put some pressure to a backline if you need to, or finding Stormy, for example, getting that wings by wings or the Purify out from there. But also, it's just a sense that both lineups have a pick-off potential.
Yep.
We might see some action up here up top, or at least trying to get some battle spells out. This is a level 4 Sakai's too. They might force an initiation before this turtle. They're going to force him back. Edok not level 4 yet, so doesn't have the kick. So they got to respect that. They'll be zoned out for now from RRQ. But SRG, we'll see if they actually want to just give this one away.
Okay, they finally decide to go for the commit. This time around, Last Insanity already burned as well, literally burning Dyron down. But they gained the control in the turtle, but that's a beautiful stun coming in from Crab. Doesn't allow them to secure it for themselves, however. There's the heavy spin as well coming in from Suitsujin. So SRG OG might just try to fight this. There's no heavy spin anymore for Suitsujin, but the way of the dragon is still there. They might actually find the kill on Sekai, and they will. SOG landing as well. Toy gets to participate in that fight.
Wow. I mean, this has been the story so far in the series. It's like these team fights always break out, but then they're extended. We're going to look at the instant replay here brought to us by STC. This was a good option for Suitsujin to be like, guys, I'm going to bring them here. Come on, rotate. We got the kick soon. They go for that, and then they continue this fight in. It's very interesting because then even Toy joins on in. So it was one of those cases where RQ ends up getting a lot more than they should have because of that constant pressure from SRG. Cram could be in trouble here.
Oh, the damage coming in from Suitsujin on the Akai in the early game. You also have to respect it, but Edok in the mid lane gets picked up as well. Sekais has been very aggressive in his use of the X-Borg, not hesitating to use the Last Insanity whenever he sees a potential kill.
Yeah.
And I feel that so far it kind of has been working for SRG, because even for Suitsujin, he's been playing the Akai very aggressively. In a way, the Akai does have a decent amount of damage that he gets to bring out in the early stages of the game, which allows him to kind of keep up in terms of the farming as well, mind you. But now it's Yumes who might just get picked off, pinned by the heavy spin. But another Last Insanity coming in from Suitsujin, and Yumes is actually alive. So everyone's just working hand in hand to keep each other alive.
I felt like so much was thrown at Yumes, and Yumes is still able to survive that. Yeah, he burned the flicker. So that's something, that's a battle spell down, and RQ has continued to put pressure where they can. But still, even up in this top side, Cram's going to be bullied out a little bit as that work's being done. But the turtle's up, so that's the focus now as both teams rotate for this turtle. Already at half health here.
Another Last Insanity committed. Better Dare Strike 2. Great control over the Lord, and somehow Sekais gets to secure it for themselves. Dyron doing a great job zoning out multiple members of SRG, but will be forced to use the Purify just to get away because he nearly gets caught in that situation. So despite how things have been going for the past two games, I feel like there's just as much action, but it doesn't necessarily convert into that much kills for this time around.
For now.
For now. For now.
It's just one of those, I mean, with both lineups, they're maybe a little bit slower to cook than the previous games. That's so far what we've seen. Edok, I don't think he's going to reach that. Not going to be able to set up the kick even with a flicker available. Doesn't want to take the chance, but that's the thing. These lineups need some time to go ahead and scale up, to build up, to get to, that initial burst of the power spake, as they like to go ahead and say it, from our boys yesterday. But eventually they'll get there. But what it does is it puts you in the situation where the game is pretty much even, and the objectives are for the taking. Now, both lineups, especially when it comes to the gold laners, will be a little bit different, where you can put pressure with that Moscow still across the map, building up there for Toy. But the gold laners are keeping it even, and that's the main thing. The big part is once we get to maybe that first Lord, hold on.
No BMIs left, but there's a Purify. Quickly casts that Blazing Do It. So that was almost a call. I mean, it was for RRQ because it forced out the Purify, but now there are multiple members of SRG who are rotating down bottom. Will Edok get to actually recall his way out of this? Doesn't have the way of the dragon anymore, but still decides to show himself just to add a bit more pressure there for SRG to not commit. So at least they get to defend their structures, and that's another thing. Like, we're already 6 minutes into the game, but both teams are holding on pretty well to their turrets.
I feel like this one has been more of a, a respect in terms of each other's lineups, even with just knowing that Edok is on this show. Him showing up like just a little bit delayed them, or stopped actually SRG from being like, let's make a play on this tier 1, going for it. But Humes will hold on to that Tsunami Slam. They're going to fight for the third turtle, though.
Oh, they get to force out the Crimson Beacon at least, but Edok still doesn't go for the way of the dragon. Not Stormy, Innocent gets the last hit on the turtle, and it was a heavy spin committed just to get out for RRQ. So this is where you start seeing some of their skills that are meant for setups be used defensively instead, and that's when you know that SRG are getting hold of the better game so far. We'll just decide to trade things out, however, so at least they get 2 turrets down in the bottom lane.
RQ is getting mapped. That's what they're getting. Even if they lose that turtle, doesn't seem like they're too worried about it. Again, this is a team with a Moskov. They'll go for map pressure instead. And yeah, you said it. Part of the game plan for both of them as we take a look at the items is, again, burning battle spells. We're looking at 3 Purifies for RQ. You've got 2 for SRG. So part of it needs to be, how do we get these Purifies down? Rins, take us a couple shots here. Stormy's been doing work. He's got the glowing wand now. Cram's a little more defensive. Borax and Dominance Ice locked in. So, big part of this is that when that Lord does come up, both teams are pretty much on even ground.
Yep.
It comes down to the execution of the lineups that they have, and they're kind of contrasting in a way, because other than the setup potential on both sides with either the Cho or the Kalea for Yumes, you have these windows of burst damage with a Farsa, for example, that go ahead and set things up. And so RQ, if they want to get an advantage, they're going to keep going for these turrets. They might go for a kick. They kick Sakai's.
Oh, now they decide to burst him down, but he has the last insanity to escape and will actually try to get back to at least deal a bit more damage. But that's where you see how SRG OG are just able to use their skills together in conjunction so well, either to protect one another or keep one another safe. So even when RRQ decides to go for those kinds of engages, commits on the way of the dragon, even the heavy spin, they don't necessarily get much value out of it, and that's major resources that are burned on their side. So things will get to be a lot better for SRG if they decide to pick up the pace this time around.
I'm actually it's surprising that was even an attempt. Because Edok doesn't have the flicker now. That's actually a pretty big battle spell that the Cho needs to possibly set things up. That turret's going to be pushed down by RQ up top. They're going to go ahead and start up this Lord. SRG takes control of it. It's a half health. And let's see if RQ can go ahead and contest it. They're showing face here already in the jungle.
No better airstrike for Stormy, but still decides to join the fight here. Last Insanity taking down Edok Direct. Zoning out the other members. Toy also works on Stormy from behind. Yumes will be the next to fall. It's a double kill for Sakai's, and he also gets that turtle. Now Direct is still alive up against 2 members, but Toy is actually making things happen. Finds a triple up against SRG.
Okay, they got the Lord for SRG, but hey, RRQ wins the fight. They get a triple for Toy. He's going to go 1v1 actually against Cram. He'll have to clear this out. Dyron is there too, but they'll hold it down in the mid lane. And Cram's just going to go ahead and jump on into the air and just wait for the rest of the team to come back. So this Lord basically doesn't get much at all for SRG, if anything.
Yeah. They'll be able to take it down immediately before it gets any further into the map. They've equalized the score. It's both 7 kills, but the lead, the map, the way that Toy is just able to pressure it has been doing wonders for RRQ, and now they decide to work on Dyron in the bottom lane. Edok will be surprising them from behind, however, decides to commit the kick onto Innocent, but there will be no follow-up, and now Innocent responds with the blazing to it, forces out the flicker as well.
Look at Toy.
Look at how these teams just keep forcing things out of each other, but again, as you mentioned, Toy, he just gets the better trades.
Tor's doing work. Cram's gonna spot him out, jumps on him with Brain's Fighter. He's gonna go hand in hand, a gun versus a sword, gets the stun down, but Toy still has some space to work with. Last Insanity comes through as Sakai's will finally shut down Toy.
There's no way you could get out of that. Multiple members of SRG. And the way that Cram just decided to go for that skill which could deal a lot more damage rather than enhancing your sustain, because that's all he really needed to work on. It was just Toy all alone that he needed to take down. And now somehow they've literally minimized the lead that earlier was at around 1k for RRQ, and now they might just be able to work on this tier 1 in mid. Tsunami Slap already committed onto Edok, gets bursted down once again. SOG will be landing. Will Toy actually decide, or it did not actually land? But fortunately, they get to defend that tier 1 in mid.
They put work in to defend the tier 1. They'll do it. I'm not sure if they still want to fight. Cram takes a little bit of damage. We'll go for the stun. He's got to get out of here, though. RQ still staying around this mid lane. They might look to go for another play. They're going to be in trouble. Dyran on the run still holds on to the Purify, but still close as ever between the both teams here. So you're seeing a lot of these fights, a lot of the initiations that are happening, and this is what I was talking about with playing into the windows of the lineup. You can see between both gold laners, they are imperative for both the teams here. You've got already that try set up there with the items for Innocent. He is going to be doing a lot of damage with Blaze Good, but even so for Toy, he's got the Trinity, but he's also got the Wind of Nature, and that's going to be big in terms of these fights. There's been some instances where we see them going and just getting battle spells down from SRG OG Esports, and this might be one of them. Goes for the kick.
Oh, they get to isolate the jungler, but the last Insanity will be committed still. Better than airstrike as well. Somehow keeping him safe, but
Cram
all alone finds a stun onto Toy, but up against 3 might not be able to survive this. Edok on the other side of the map gets traded down as well, and Sutsujin gets bursted down as the Akai.
Toy's in trouble.
Blazing to it, and now Toy definitely in trouble as he gets taken down. Flicker still available for Humes, keeping him safe as well, but Tyron barely surviving this fight. Innocent will not allow Rins to close in anymore, and they will freely get their hands on this Lord.
Oh, you can see the smiles here from Stormy. That was a fight that they needed. They got control of it, and it was started from Edok. This was all with the kick. Cram buys time. There's 2 separate fights going on here, but they were able to go ahead and separate the right members to win the advantage for SRG OG Esports. Again, they get themselves the Lord. They'll go ahead and play into this. And that's always the thing, it's always a risk with the setup roamers that we see, especially the Cho.
Yeah.
If you go in with a kick and there isn't the follow-up that you're looking for, it puts yourself in a tough position to be in where you just end up getting punished. And now for SRG, they'll walk into this. They need the base turrets. They have to go ahead and even out the playing field in terms of map space, but they've got the gold advantage now. They're not going to let up here.
That was just a tidal strike into the Tsunami Slam, forces out the heavy spin from Sutsujin already. Oh, look at these 2 guys just going at it. And again, going back to what you said, I feel like for RRQ, really, is Sakai still the best target to go for in terms of those setups if you're Edok? Because it's more than just the follow-up that they could provide. It's also whether or not that target can actually make it out alive. But now RRQ with a clapback tries to go for Stormy first. Won't be able to find a way out of it anymore. They know that they've already taken out some resources away from SRG OG. So now they get themselves back.
I'm not sure if that was all on the same mindset there on what they wanted to do around the Lord, because they got sandwich in. There's the Tsunami Sam. They get the Purify out. They're still going to fight it down the mid. Toy is there, trying to clear that wave out to get this tier 1. Edok might still jump in on this. He's got to be careful as Cram locks him in.
Oh, gets to stun multiple members, and that's gonna be a beautiful opportunity for Sakai to go in with the double. Innocent gets to shred down Sutsujin time and time again. Whenever the team fights break out, it's only Riz left. Another Raven Spider from Grab. Yu's blocking their path, and the Tsunami Slap to finish things off as SRG OG in the blink of an eye seal the deal and take match point.
Game 3 in the bag here. Match point now for Selangor Red Giants OG Esports. It looked like that Lord push might have been